Hello and welcome to the Medlock Health and Safety Induction. This video presentation will walk you through the Medlock procedures and how we operate as a company. You'll receive guidance on what we expect from you and what you should expect from us. The Health and Safety at Work Act is the law and specifies that you have a duty to take care of your own health and safety and that of others who may be affected by your acts or omissions at work. You must cooperate with employers and co-workers to help everyone meet their legal requirements. You must not interfere with anything provided for the protection of health and safety. Remember, nothing is so important that it can't be done safely, and all the management will support any decision to suspend work if necessary. The site manager will run through the site-specific hazards and site rules. Please ensure you've understood these and ask if you have any questions. And for your information, our Medlock Health and Safety policy can be viewed on the safety board at your own leisure. You must sign in and out on each visit or when leaving site throughout the day, unless other mechanisms are available to monitor this, such as turnstiles. We do this so that if there is an emergency, we know if you are on site or not. The mandatory PPE requirement on this site is a hard hat, high visibility vest, and steel toe and midsole boots. Additional levels of PPE or RPE may be required as per your specific method statements and risk assessments. Pedestrian walkways and traffic routes have been designated to keep you safe and minimise vehicle movements in pedestrian areas. Please stick to the designated areas. A fire plan indicating emergency exits, routes, positions of fire points and means of raising the alarm are positioned across the site. The assembly point in the event of an emergency will also be displayed. Please take the time to familiarise yourself with these. Fire equipment is available for tackling small fires. However, you should only use a fire extinguisher if you have been trained to do so. A first aid station and dedicated first aiders will be available at all times. The first aid station is located in the site office and details of the dedicated first aiders are clearly displayed. All incidents, however minor, must be reported to the site manager and entered into the accident book. Near misses, which are defined by an incident that does not cause harm but has the potential to, should also be reported. These can be reported to the site manager or by following the near miss reporting procedure. Sufficient welfare facilities have been provided. Please keep them clean at all times and report any problems to a member of site management. You should take note of all site signage, including coordination and briefing boards, as these contain vital information to assist in keeping you and others safe. All electrical equipment brought onto site should be 110 volts or cordless. Batteries should be charged at appropriate charging points and not used if any damage shown. All electrical equipment used for construction must be PAT tested and checked every 3 months. Any hot works will require the prior sign-off of a hot works permit by the site manager. A copy of the permit is to be retained by the operative utilising the armband system until completion of the works for sign-off. A risk assessment and method statement must be produced before permit can be issued, and all relevant PPE, fire equipment and protection must be in place. There are additional permit requirements, for example, to break ground, the use of ladders and to work in a confined space. Slips, trips and falls are still the major causes of accidents on site. You are required to keep the working areas and walkways clear and unobstructed. Areas of work need to be cleaned regularly to avoid any build-up. All waste and debris needs to be removed in a controlled manner and placed in the correct skips appropriate to the type of waste being removed. All powered plant and lifting equipment on site must be accompanied by a thorough test examination certificate. Daily inspections must be carried out before plant is used and formal weekly inspections are to be undertaken. If you are operating plants, you'll need to provide proof of competency in the form of a training card, for example, CPCS. On site, there will be a number of temporary work structures which will need design input, for example, fixed scaffold, props, excavations and temporary edge protection. These will be included in daily briefings where relevant. Falls from height are one of the biggest causes of workplace fatalities and major injuries. Work at height means working in an area where if there are no precautions in place, a person could fall from a distance which is liable to cause them personal injury. For example, you are working at height if you are working in an unprotected area at height. You could fall through a fragile surface, you could fall through an opening in the floor or a hole in the ground. Before working at height where the risk cannot be eliminated, you must minimise the distance and consequence of a fall by using the right equipment. To combat this, you should ensure you can get safely to and from where you are working at height. Ensure equipment is suitable, stable and strong enough for the job, maintained and checked regularly. Protection from falling objects must be in place, for example, kickboards and toe boards. Take precautions when working near or on fragile surfaces and make sure you don't overload or overreach. Do you know what your emergency evacuation and rescue procedures are? If not, speak to a site manager before starting work. Always select the correct type of equipment, and all operators must be authorised and certified. All work at height equipment must be erected and used in accordance with your training and instruction, for example, IPATH or PASMA. Safe working loads must be clearly identifiable on all equipment. No unauthorised modifications are permitted. All fixed scaffold is to be erected and inspected by a competent person before use and the scaffold tagged accordingly. Do not access or use the scaffold if the tag is showing red. Never alter scaffold unless qualified and approved to do so by the site. A ladder is only ever to be used as a last resort and when a risk assessment or permit has demonstrated that a more suitable piece of equipment is not justified because of the low risk and the short duration of use. The construction industry has a poor health record, with construction workers likely to suffer ill health after both exposure to harsh working conditions and hazardous substances. Ill health can result from exposure to asbestos can cause serious respiratory diseases such as asbestosis and cancer and kills on average 5,000 workers per year, with around 20 tradesmen per week dying as a result of previous exposure. Therefore, it is important you listen to the information regarding this in the site-specific hazards and report any material that you feel contain asbestos. Asbestos is not just a problem of the past. It can be present today in any building built or refurbished before the year 2000. If working on a building which is known to contain asbestos materials, you must be UCARTA asbestos awareness trained as a minimum. Lifting heavy and awkward loads causes back and other injuries. Some injuries can result from a single lift, but more commonly, long-term injury develops as a result of repeated minor injury due to repetitive lifting. Therefore, risk assessments must be carried out and mechanical means of lifting should be used where possible. However, if you need to manually move anything, then the correct lifting techniques must be used. High levels of noise can cause hearing loss, and repeated use of vibrating tools can cause hand-arm vibration syndrome, which is damage to the nerves and blood vessels, most commonly in the hands and fingers. Your employer has carried out a risk assessment to minimise the risk. Therefore, you must ensure all control measures are implemented. Exposure to materials such as cement and solvents can cause skin problems such as dermatitis. Cement dermatitis is a disabling condition that can end careers and is caused by allergic reaction or contact. COSH assessments must be provided for all substances of a hazardous nature intended for use. You must understand the risk assessment and method statements for these products and what to do in the event of an emergency. Dust is a hidden killer in construction and is often overlooked when doing COSH assessments. You must ensure controls are in place to prevent fibre release, such as extraction, water suppression, wearing of masks and face fit testing. Remember, nothing is so important that we can't take the time to do it safely. If conditions change, stop. Reassess the risk. If you can't work to your method statements or risk assessments, stop and speak to the site manager. Disciplinary actions may be taken as a result of non-compliance, which could result in you being removed from site. The site manager will run you through the site-specific hazards. We cannot stress enough how health and safety is our #1 priority. Thanks for watching.